Good morning, everyone. My name's Miranda Wayland. I'm the head of creative diversity at the BBC, and I'd love to welcome you to the ScreenSkills session called How to Build a Leader for Tomorrow. Better leadership is a challenge for the whole industry, and there's a particular need for increased diversity in leadership roles. So how can we make that happen? This morning, we'll be discussing what we need to nurture and grow our future leaders. What needs to be done to provide more opportunities to hear diverse voices, more effective career paths to the top, and the tools and other supports that can be made that really have a difference. So let's introduce our phenomenal panel for this session, who's really going to help us get some great insights into this fantastic topic. I'm really pleased to welcome Kaye Elliott, who's the director of the high-end TV and ScreenSkills, the skills body for the UK screen industry. Lovely to have you with us, Kaye.
Hi.
Hi. Amanda Wilkie Sweeney, who is the head of production drama at Sky, who's also a committed member of the ScreenSkills High-End TV Council. Great to have you with us, Amanda.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
And Adam Knopf, head of production Urban Myth Films, who was most recently produced the second and third series of War of the Worlds with Canal Plus and Fox, and Extinction with Sky. Adam, great to have you.
Oh yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
Great. And last but not least, Florence Watson, currently a story producer on Sisters, The Baby, and a member of the inaugural Leaders of Tomorrow cohorts. Florence, great to have you on the panel with us.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
So excited to introduce the panel. But just before we kick off the sessions, just a quick reminder that this is a pre-recorded conversation, but we will have some people with us in the live chat. So please feel free to drop in some questions, your thoughts and comments, and they'll be picked up as we go along. So panel, brilliant to have you here. I guess let's give some context, because this is a really important subject matter about leadership and bringing that into our industry. But I guess the way to get into that is to really take a bit of a reflective view on where we are today. So on the back of a post-pandemic, the need to actually be adaptable and pivot in our productions, whether they've had to stop, start, or actually look at how they make their productions more inclusive in a pandemic situation. Thinking about productions being busier than they ever were before, trying to catch up with the catalogue of last year. Also, we've had a busy year with the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, the stats that revealed from the Creative Diversity Network about doubling disability and a spotlight on diversity in all forms. We've also had Brexit, of course, and concerns around mental health and well-being, and also a really difficult report about the culture of our workplace. There's been a lot to contend with over the last 12 to 18 months. With everything going on, there's never been a more poignant time, I guess, to make sure that we have strong leadership. So can you reflect a little on how, if at all, any of these factors have created leadership and management challenges against what you've been trying to do in your respective organisations? Kaye, I'm probably going to come to you first, because I know that obviously this is the backbone of what ScreenSkills does to really help support our industry. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, I think it's been, obviously, as you say, an incredibly challenging time for everybody. And I think we've absolutely seen that from an industry perspective, which has been fantastic, because ScreenSkills is so heavily supported by and led by industry, and they've really instructed us in terms of how they want to see their investment being spent to better build the industry going forward. So obviously, so much of our investment is about workforce development growth. So how do we bring more people in? How do we grow the numbers? But actually, just as importantly, how do we make sure that people who are in the industry stay, don't feel like they want to leave because of all of those kind of stresses and challenges or experiences? But also, how do we make sure people understand how their behaviours or how unwittingly things can happen on a production because people are very stressed and it's a very high pressured environment, maybe having an impact on retention of crew or on how a workforce can work well together. So for ScreenSkills, and particularly the High-End TV Skills Fund, on the one hand, as I say, it's all about skills development grade? How do we find more people? How do we help people move into different roles? But also, and just as importantly, how do we give people the skills to be better leaders, better managers of people, to really address and be supportive of people who may have mental health issues, who may be struggling, particularly, as you say, with so much that's happening in the world at the moment, so that we can absolutely have a positive workforce that is retained, but also grows in a really professional and positive way. So we do a number of initiatives. Leadership and Management is a program that came out of our one of our industry working groups 2 years ago, actually, who felt that there was absolutely a need for a very specific program to support people to move into, to be supported around those skills around HR, dealing with bullying and harassment issues, recognising their own bias, and also fair recruitment. So all of that packaged together to try and support individuals. And really pleased to say that actually most productions are now using that program. So it's really great to kind of be able to be there to kind of help that.
Amanda, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. So Kaye's really talked about some tangible, practical approaches that really help our sector. What's been happening at Sky?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone will feel the same. We've seen a massive boom in the industry. It was super busy pre-pandemic, and post-pandemic, when everything stopped and started again, it's a bit of a crazy minefield out there. But what it has done is it's given people so many opportunities to step up, which is great. What we need to do is make sure that we set them up for success. You know, there's extra pressure on, you know, the senior managers, the production execs, the head of production, to make sure those new managers coming through the ranks have the support they need so that, you know, they don't fail. And we all know that, you know, you don't just get skills handed to you with a title and a pay rise. There's a lot more to it than that. So, you know, we are leaning heavily on that support, that mentorship, that guidance. You know, the training for managers, giving those soft skills in their toolbox and equip them with that kind of extra responsibility. With the leadership and management training that ScreenSkills have in place, we've actually made that mandatory now for all of our scripted shows going forward, across comedy and drama, not just our in-house arm, for all of our indie community too.
And you just talked about, you know, setting up our industry for success and giving people the right skills and tools to achieve that. And we know that leadership and management is really critical in that training phase to really help support and grow senior leaders and navigating our current climate. It's really interesting if we reflect perhaps a little bit on the McTaggart of last year, where David Olusoga said that, you know, he noted that we needed to be smart, dynamic and forward-thinking leaders that will ensure that our content business continues to thrive. And then he questioned whether or not we could ensure the opportunities there for all and that the next generation better reflects the wider world. We know there's an acknowledgement of a lack of diversity at senior roles, and obviously that's something that we're all conscious of and working proactively to achieve that, not just on screen, but more importantly, behind the camera. Kaye, coming back to you, I wonder if there's things that you could talk to us about some of those early interventions and adoptions that some of us could consider taking as we try to progress our talent through our organisations.
Yeah, so I think for ScreenSkills, we do so many different initiatives, but I was certainly very acutely aware when I started at ScreenSkills a few years ago that we have a really successful program called Trainee Finder, which most productions use. It's a really great program. We're very much focused on making sure it is inclusive, and we do everything we can to really reach out to different types of communities and different people to try and encourage them in. But Trainee Finder is at a certain level, so you've already got to have some experience. How on earth do you get that? If you don't think the industry is open to you, how would you ever open that door? And I think there's a lot of work we could all need to do collectively to really change that. So one of the things that we launched about 18 months ago was something called First Break, which sits below Trainee Finder, and it's there to provide opportunities for people who would never think of screen as how on earth do you get through the door. So it's not just focused on young people, it's anyone of any age who may have thought, you know what's it all about? You know, is there a job for me? So it's very much focused on not talking about jargon, really just you've got the skills, you know, you're creative or you're practical, how can we help you come in? But I think we do that very much hand in hand with production, and we're running, I think, 9 at the moment. We've done some with Sky, we've done some with ITV, across the board with different broadcasters to try and make sure, because there's no point us opening the door if then the opportunity is not there for someone to step through. So we need to therefore then also provide opportunities for people to get practical experience on a production, to give them paid work experience. I'm really passionate about that, because you can't, it's a barrier straight away, isn't it, if you expect people to work for free. So there's so many different bits, but I think what I think is amazing is how supportive I really do believe industry are, and how we are working collectively to try and create those opportunities to change how we may have faced bringing people into the industry before. What is the differences? What are the barriers? How can we change that? But then beyond that, obviously people who are at mid-level career, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we talk about leaders of tomorrow, but how do you help people move up? How do you help change what the leaders of tomorrow look like? How do we make sure that we've got a diverse visual representation and essentially different types of people in those management roles, which again, even though you might be in the industry, sometimes it can feel like, well, I'm working, but I don't know how I'd ever get to become a senior leader. How does that happen? So again, programs that we're delivering, such as Leaders of Tomorrow, is exactly that, to try and give people tools, opportunity, networking, connections to make those changes, so that we've got different types of people from different types of backgrounds in those roles as we go forward.
Sounds fantastic, that kind of resource and knowledge sharing to be able to get us to, as you say, to get those leaders for tomorrow. Amanda, bringing you back in again, I know that there's a lot of work being done in that space around the TV Coalition for Change. For people that aren't fully familiar with it, can you just tell us what that's about?
So the Coalition for Change Charter is essentially a sort of pledge, a code of practice, conduct, that all the key broadcasters, indie community will join up to make it a better sort of working practices for freelancers. And it tackles some just key issues, or not, some areas really that need sort of, you know, those benchmarks for, you know, success and best practice. So recruitment, training, development, workplace culture, working hours, I think I just mentioned training opportunities. So yeah, it's just for everybody to just be aware that these are the benchmarks, where we want to sort of base, and everyone can sort of join up and sign their pledge to that we're all being consistent across the board, making sure that there's a fair environment out there for everybody.
And it's a fantastic resource for people who are either at the beginning of their journey for greater inclusion, or actually want to double down on some of the work that they're doing to be much more progressive. So it's great to have that resource available. And thanks for telling us a bit more about what that really means. Adam, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. Programs that give talent an opportunity to step up to more senior roles is a more managed fashion that have been mentioned as a way to help guide and nurture talent into senior roles. Can you expand upon your experience with such programs?
Yeah, so I was very lucky enough to be accepted onto the Make a Move, the ScreenSkills Make a Move scheme. And I stepped up from production manager to line producer on Marcella with Buccaneer Media. And it just gave me the chance to step up with the safety net, really. There was a chance there was support around me. I had fellow colleagues who were able to sort of guide me into the role. It was the first time I'd had to deal with many management situations. So it gave me the time, the space to kind of understand how those worked and what was required of me, and also what people expected of me, really, just in terms of the different things that I might not have touched or worked in. So it was great for me in that respect. And what's great about it is it's sort of peer-led in many respects, because you're identifying talent and saying, right, I think you're ready for it to step up, when maybe they don't have the confidence to do so. They haven't been, they're not aware that they have a lot of those attributes already, and that they're sometimes doing many of those job roles anyway. So where that lack of confidence, and I think that for me, coming from the regions and going into London, I just never thought that would even be an option to step up into a job in London, because I didn't think I had the experience. But they had the faith in me, and it kind of gives you that chance. So I think it just really supports that growth. So your future leaders tomorrow, you can go from any sort of job role, any sort of level and step up. So long as you're making a move up a level, you're kind of giving those people the confidence and aspiration to continue to grow their career and kind of continue to step up. So for me, it did that. And I then went from job to job, and it gave me that first credit that is so important, that you kind of need. And people look at your CV and they say, oh, you haven't done it. But with that safety net around me, I was able to get that credit, and it was hugely beneficial. And it kind of let me progress much further along at a rate that I was sometimes a bit like, but no, it was all good. And then I felt confident to go on to the next job and do it on my own, which was great.
And you talked about that confidence. What else did it give you from a personal perspective? As you say, this was like your first big opportunity, you're moving city. How did that really shape you perhaps to who you are today?
Stronger, I'd say. You become more aware of your abilities. And I think the fact that you're moving cities, it's the first time I'd ever worked and lived in London, it kind of gave you that the positive environment in which to go, right, I can do it. If I can do it here, I can definitely do it back home. So I'm now back in Wales, and I managed to step up again since then. And I certainly would not be in that position now without that knowledge I kind of learned. So I think positively, it was a great positive experience for me in terms of my where I am and where it got me today, which is great for future leaders, because I think they'll be in a very similar situation.
Okay, sounds like the Make a Move program is quite a powerful one. Tell me a little bit more about how this came into being, and actually what does it take to create something that has such a massive impact for individuals?
So yeah, Make a Move's been around for quite a long time in terms of the High TV Fund. It was one of the kind of that, alongside Trainee Finder, from an industry perspective, was recognised as kind of the two sides of the coin that you need. You need to bring people in, but you need to be able to move them forward. So Make a Move essentially is open to every production that contributes into the fund. They can essentially access some funding to enable them to, exactly as Adam has said, choose an individual or individuals to support to move them up. And as we know, at the moment, crew, it's really, really hard to find people. And we are finding increasingly, as we all know, that productions are moving people up very quickly. And we want that to be successful. We want people to move up, absolutely, but we don't want them to have a terrible time or to have to pretend that they know things that they don't know, or to then slip away because something disastrous happened. So Make a Move, essentially, as Adam has said, gives that safety net. So a production can essentially provide the tools around them, whether that be mentoring, whether that be a shadowing of other roles to give them those kind of additional skills. It can also pay for childcare, for travel, for some of the salary. So it really is there to enable the individual to feel that they can say, I'm doing the role, but with Make a Move. So I can hold my hand up and say what I don't know. And the production equally can make sure that it works on both sides. So I would say every production we work with uses Make a Move. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a brilliant tool. We use it across every grade, from coordinators right up to producers. It does the whole gamut. So it's a great program, and I think it's a great way. And as Leaders of Tomorrow, which we'll talk a bit more about, kind of came out of that. So how can we provide a bit more of a concerted effort to support people at that mid-level career level to move forward, but with a much more of a longer-term wraparound support. So Leaders of Tomorrow is a 3-year programme. So individuals are provided with that Make a Move support, as we've just articulated, but also a designated mentor, access to professionals pool, and also networking and support to kind of get their name out, to build their confidence. So hopefully Leaders of Tomorrow will be a really brilliant addition to the kind of portfolio of offer that we can have. And it's obviously fantastic, Florence will talk about it, but to have Florence as part of that programme.
And it sounds like it's a really nice, clear, distinctive progression route for people to advance their career. So Florence, Kaye just mentioned that you've been on the Leaders of Tomorrow cohort. So of course, I desperately want to hear from you about what that's like. Pretend Kaye's not here. What motivated your involvement in the programme? Going in, did you have particular hopes and aspirations of what it might involve, or what you hope to get out of it?
Yeah, so we've just started actually. We're having our launch in September, where we're getting to meet everyone else who's on the cohort, and everyone's mentors all together. The reason I wanted to join or be part of the Leaders of Tomorrow programme is similar to Adam. Actually, I'm from Liverpool, and my first job was in soap. I was working at Line Pictures on Hollyoaks, and I made the transition out of my very secure staff contract into the freelance world to be a freelance script editor. At the start of the pandemic, so I moved down to London, and I didn't really know a lot of people, and because COVID had just hit, it was harder to, before pre-COVID days, you'd go and have a coffee with people and get your name out there and get to know people. And that wasn't really available when I first moved down. And I started script editing on Sisters the Baby. I'm now actually, since joining, have moved up to be story producer for the show. One of the reasons why Leaders of Tomorrow was so attractive to me was that it's a 3-year programme with the idea that you develop your skills with the aim of stepping up. And eventually I would like to be a producer. But my pool of knowledge, I think I definitely have the personal skills to do that. But something that this programme offers is the support and the time to be able to kind of develop myself so that I'm able to do the best job that I can, and I'm not jumping too quickly without having that kind of foundational knowledge and confidence in myself and in my abilities. It's also really fantastic in that it offers mentorship. So I'm currently being mentored by Madonna Baptiste, who's a producer, which is absolutely amazing. We've had our first meeting, and we're gonna the first of very many to come. But also one of the great things is that because it's 3 years and it's not a fixed placement, you're not placed on different productions, you still go out there and you find the jobs yourself, and you kind of come to them with I'm on the Leaders of Tomorrow programme, and this is how it works, and this is how I can utilise my skills on this production, and this is how you can utilise me as well. That it's very led by us and the whole each individual on who's part of the cohort. Like, we get to shape our own career and find our own way through it, so that it's not prescriptive. It's very we're using we get to shape and mold our own journey through it, which is really fantastic.
Sounds like a lot that this program gives you, and which is phenomenal, because we've been discussing about how difficult it can be to transition to new opportunities, least of all knowing that the visibility of what's out there, but also feeling that you've got the confidence and skills sets to really do that. You talked really passionately about your journey on this program. Wondered if you could give us maybe top 2 or 3 tips for anybody who's thinking about this opportunity for them. What should they really be thinking about if they're really wanting to embark on their careers?
I think one of the things that I really strongly advocate for, and this is something that when I actually got my first job in television, it was through a scheme with Channel 4 production training scheme by Think Bigger, and in a similar way to this, they pay you with a mentor, and you have training alongside the work that you're doing, the on-the-job learning that you're doing. And I think that is something that is invaluable, the training outside of the job, which just gives you, firstly, it allows you to meet other people who are also doing the job or the job that you hope to be doing in the future. And it allows you to develop those tools that maybe, all productions are really, really busy, and people can't always focus on giving you, like individual one-on-one, here's how to do the job. So to have that outside of your role is really, is really, really invaluable. I'd say have a look for anyone who is hoping to get into the industry or is already in it and is feeling sort of like you're in a bit of a status. Have a look on the ScreenSkills website, have a look around, and there's tons and tons of schemes that are, and programs and training opportunities that are available, that just, I think, help you develop and be better at your job and more secure in your job, which promotes a more, gives you more career longevity, and it helps you to be able to see what else is out there and what other jobs are available, because that can also be quite difficult before you are in the industry and seeing the plethora of things, of roles that are available to you. It can be quite difficult to see if you're on the outside.
Brilliant. Some great advice. Thank you. So, Amanda, I know that Sky is involved in this programme, and having heard Florence's experience, it's not hard to see why. But I guess from a broadcaster's point of view, what do you get from that programme, and how would you advocate for others to get involved?
Well, I think Sky are quite passionate about training and development and, bringing people on. So it's something that we really support. And it's not just those grassroots level. I mean, we've got Sky Academy. We also, on all of our shows, utilise all of the amazing programmes that ScreenSkills have to offer. And all of our shows pay into the levy. So we can use our sort of power of voice to kind of educate all of our producers, say, look, all these amazing things are out there. Make sure that, you're using it. With the sort of Leaders of Tomorrow, we got involved because we also understand that, it's not just starting people off and then they kind of fall off a cliff. It's that mid-level career and keeping that progression going. So they do get those opportunities. And, Sky will also, we're helping fund the scheme. So there's another placement to go forward, but also helping producers. So looking at where there's some, don't want to use the word resistance, but sometimes they're a bit of nervous about giving people a chance. There's risks. And so how can we help mitigate that risk? How can we fund either extra time for that person because they need a bit more time to get up to speed? They're not as experienced as someone else who's got loads of productions under their belt, or, with new writers. How can we fund an extra script that may not be used in a series, but could be used for a future series? Things like that. We can, we can sort of help and give people that chance, that opportunity, that experience, that credit under their belt to then launch them off for the next one.
Well, I've got to say, Kaye, you've got some powerful allies here on this panel, really endorsing what you're doing, and it's all really phenomenal. And as Amanda said, it's about making the industry see that talent coming through, diverse and otherwise, is actually not a risk, but it's an investment in our future. Any final thoughts about Leaders of Tomorrow programme and the potential to support that talent that's in our sector?
Oh my God, I mean, all the people on that cohort were amazing. I mean, they're such a talented bunch. And I think the main thing that comes through is they can all do it. It's just the confidence. And it's taking that kind of leap of faith and knowing that they're going to be given a chance to, step forward with someone at their back. I think once they all grow their wings, they're going to take flight. There'll be no stopping them. And I'm going to look forward to working with all of them and for them in the future.
Brilliant. Kaye, that's great endorsement for the programme, right?
No pressure.
Any final thoughts from you, things that you think we need to know in particular?
I just think I'm really amazed by what a fantastic, as Amanda says, it's a fantastic cohort. It's 19, it could probably have been 100 people. I think there are so many people out there. We'd love to keep doing more of these iterations of this programme, and hopefully we will do as we move forward, and this will just grow and grow like Make a Move and become a bit of a no-brainer that production goes, oh yeah, we're going to use Make a Move, we're going to use Ladies of Tomorrow, because it's absolutely really crucial. And again, I know I keep saying it, but I really do believe industry is stepping up and is working collectively, and everything that we can do to kind of work together to really see industry as a whole, rather than this is my bit and this is my bit, the more we can do to really make sure we're giving people opportunity and we're opening the doors to different types of people, but we're enabling people to keep moving forward. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Florence gets on and how everyone else does, and also Adam as well. I mean, obviously Adam through Make a Move, it's such a great programme. And I think the reason why I just think Adam, it's interesting when you look at the nations, and people often kind of forget that there is a real thriving industry all across the UK. And, and Adam's really great credit to that. And I think it's really important as industry continues to grow that we look at the whole of the UK and give everybody an opportunity to be part of it, because, you should be able to be, wherever you are. So, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I think that's a perfect way for us to wrap up the session with such great power of enthusiasm and excitement. A huge thank you to everybody on my panel, but in particular ScreenSkills, who hosted and facilitated a really important conversation about how we get greater inclusivity in our industry and giving talent the opportunity to thrive. As I said right at the beginning, we have people around in the live chat. So if you've got any thoughts and comments or really want to respond to something you've heard, then please do drop us a note in the chat and we'll get back to you with a response. Really grateful that you can join us, but please hang around for the rest of Edinburgh. Some great sessions coming up, which I know will really excite you. Other than that, have a great day.